Senate will come to order. Those not having privilege of the floor will please vacate the chamber. Those in the gallery and those on the floor will please rise as we're led in prayer by Josh Rhodes, pastor of Ministries of the Chestnut Ridge Church in Morgantown, West Virginia. Please remain standing after the prayer as the senator from Harrison leads us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor.
Good morning. It's an honor and joy to be here today. Thank you all for your service. Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before you today recognizing that you alone are our creator, provider, and our true hope. Thank you for the many blessings that you have graciously given to us individually and collectively in our great state of West Virginia, the place that we love and call home. We ask for your loving hand of blessing to be upon our state, our leaders within government, businesses, and nonprofit organizations, and our people who we are called to serve wholeheartedly as an act of worship unto you. We also pray today for the thousands of men, women, and children who are suffering right now from the effects of poverty, substance use, mental health, and broken families resulting in foster, adoptive, and kinship care. Please help us as leaders to not grow weary in doing good, especially for all those who need our love and help the most. Though many of these challenges that we face in our state seem insurmountable, we believe that with you all things are possible. Father, we thank you for this day and time to gather together for your glory and for the good of others. In the precious and powerful name of Jesus, our Savior, we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Senator from Harrison.
Thank you, Mr. President. If everyone would please remain standing and join as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reading of the journal.
West Virginia Legislature, Senate Journal, February 1st, 2023. The Senate met at 11 a.m.
Senator requests unanimous consent that further reading of the journal is dispensed with and the journal be approved. Is there objection? Chair hears none. Further reading of the journal is dispensed with and the journal is approved. Introduction of guest. On behalf of the Senate, it is my pleasure to welcome the honorary pages for the day. Please stand to be recognized as your name is called. As the guest is the senior senator from the 5th, Skylar Shen. As guest is the senator from Marion, Caitlin Stone. As guest is the senator from Logan, Ava Nagy, Shelby Mullins, and Carly Thompson. Will the Senate please make them feel welcome? Further introductions. Senior senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Senate, it is your honor and mine to introduce our doctor of the day. In the rear of the chamber today, we have with us Dr. Tracy Hendershot, friend of the Senate. If you wouldn't mind standing up, let the Senate give you a warm welcome.
Senator from Logan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today with us, seated in the President's Gallery, the chaperone of the honorary pages from Logan Middle School today, Carly Thompson's mother, Sandy Thompson. Please stand and the Senate make her welcome.
Senator from Mason.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today is Go Red Day for the American Heart Association, which is a comprehensive platform designed to increase women's heart health awareness. And it serves as a catalyst for change to improve the lives of women globally. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women, so this day celebrates going red for the women in our lives. And I think we have a lot of folks here for American Heart Association Day. Most of them are wearing red, so if you're wearing red in the gallery and you're here for the American Heart Association, please stand, and with the Senate, please make them feel welcome.
Junior Senator from the 7th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to have this body help me in welcoming folks in our North Gallery here. West Virginia's first American Heart Youth Ambassador and stroke survivor, Hillary Gore from Mingo Central High School, with her mom, City of Logan manager, Amber Belcher, and her husband, good coal people, Richie Belcher, general manager of Genmar Southeast, with his dad, devoted and retired coal miner Dickie Belcher. It's also his birthday, and his wife, Sabrina Belcher. So please join me on behalf of the senators from Mercer, Wayne, Logan, and myself. Welcome, and please join me in doing that.
Senior Senator from the 5th.
On behalf of the Senator from Cabell, it's our pleasure and yours to welcome seated in the President's Gallery, the chaperones of our honorary page from Spring Valley High School, Skylar Chin's grandmother, Linda Ramey.
Senator from Marion.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. On behalf of the Senator from Montague and myself and all of those who represent Marion and Montague counties, I have a special guest with me today. She is the chaperone of our honorary page, Caitlin Stone. She has been a longtime friend and union sister of mine. Please welcome Caitlin's mom, Natalie Stone, to the President's Gallery. Thank you.
Senator from Wetzel.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the fellow senator from Marshall and senator from Pleasance, I would like to welcome to our gallery Ritchie County Commissioner Randall Riggs and his friend John Anensky, who is making his first trip to our beautiful capital. Would the Senate please make them welcome?
Further introductions. Senator from Monongalia.
Thank you, Mr. President. Special guests of yours today seated in your gallery are with the Morgantown Area Partnership. They've come to us on a variety of issues, and we want to welcome them. And in their delegation, we have the mayor of Morgantown, Jenny Saline, and the longtime mayor of Granville, Patty Lewis. I ask that they all stand, and the Senate please make them welcome.
Are there further introductions? If not, communications from the House.
The Clerk of the House announced the House amended and passed committee substitute for Senate Bill 83, authorizing tactical medical professionals to carry firearms.
Message will be received. Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 83.
Senior Senator from the 17th moves the Senate concur in the House amendments to Senate Bill 83. Is there discussion? Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a bill on our tactical firearms for emergency medical personnel that would assist law enforcement. It passed this body, I think, pretty unanimous, and it passed the House unanimous. They did a technical amendment only. I urge adoption.
Is there further discussion? If not, question for the Senate concur the House amendments to Senate Bill 83. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the motion adopted. The question now is on passage of the bill as amended. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk close the machine. Ascertain the results on this question. 32 yeas, 0 nays, 2 absent, not voting. More than a majority of those elected having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill passed. Clerk will communicate the actions of the Senate to the House.
The Clerk of the House announced the passage by that body of committee substitute for House Bill 2596 to modify when a non-resident student's transfer may be denied.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Education.
House Bill 2613 relating to the administration of anesthetics.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Health and Human Resources, then the Committee on Finance.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2870 correcting a reference relating to citing certificates for certain electric generating facilities.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Education, Industry, and Mining.
Committee substitute for House Bill 3061 relating to updating the authority of the Foster Care Ombudsman.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Health and Human Resources.
The House adopted House Concurrent Resolution 11 relating to higher education consortium for emerging energy technologies.
Message will be received and the resolution will be referred to the Committee on Education.
House Concurrent Resolution 13 makes second week of February of every year a week of recognition of the Boy Scouts of America.
Message will be received and the resolution will be referred to the Committee on Outdoor Recreation. Communications from the Executive.
There are none.
Reports from standing committees.
Your Committee on the Judiciary has had under consideration Senate Bill 50 requiring one-year residency within district or county to fill vacancy in legislature, and reports back a committee substitute for same with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass. Respectfully submitted, Ryan W. Weld, Vice Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on the Judiciary has had under consideration Senate Bill 247, making administrative appeals and judicial review of board action subject to provisions of Administrative Procedures Act, and reports back a committee substitute for same with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass. Respectfully submitted, Ryan W. Weld, Vice Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Economic Development has had under consideration Senate Bill 256 relating to West Virginia Economic Development Authority, and reports back a committee substitute for same with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass. Respectfully submitted, Chandler Swope, Chair.
Report will be received. Senator from Mercer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the bill be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. The bill will be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Your Committee on the Judiciary has had under consideration the following bills dealing with rulemaking: Senate Bill 361, 362, 363, 364, 365, 366, 367, 368, 369, 370, 371, 372, 373, 374, 375, 376, 377, 378, 379, 380, 381, 382, 383, 384, 385, 386, 387, 389, 390, 391, 392, 393, 394, 395, 396, 397, 398, 399, 400, 401, 402, 403, 404, 405, 406, 407, 491, and 408, authorizing the Board of Accountancy to promulgate legislative rule relating to board rules of professional conduct, and reports back a committee substitute for same with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass. Respectfully submitted, Ryan W. Weld, Vice Chair.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on Pensions has had under consideration Senate Bill 449, updating terms for Natural Resources Police Officers Retirement System and retirement systems for charter schools, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass, but under the original double committee reference, first be referred to the Committee on Finance. Respectfully submitted, Eric Nelson, Jr., Chair.
Report will be received. Senior Senator from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the second reference to finance be dispensed with.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. So ordered.
Your Committee on Pensions has had under consideration Senate Bill 451 relating to Teachers' Retirement System and Teachers' Defined Contribution Retirement System, and reports back a committee substitute for same with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass, but under the original double committee reference, first be referred to the Committee on Finance. Respectfully submitted, Eric Nelson, Jr., Chair.
Report will be received. Senior Senator from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the second reference to the Committee on Finance be dispensed with.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. So ordered.
Your Committee on School Choice has had under consideration Senate Bill 453, ensuring retirement contributions and delinquency charges of charter school employees be paid upon school closure or by successor, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass, but under the original double committee reference, first be referred to the Committee on Pensions. Respectfully submitted, Patricia Puertas Rucker, Chair.
Report will be received, and under the original double committee reference, the bill will be referred to the Committee on Pensions.
Your Committee on Pensions has had under consideration Senate Bill 475, modifying examinations for disability pensions, and reports back a committee substitute for same with the recommendation that the committee substitute do pass. Respectfully submitted, Eric Nelson, Jr., Chair.
Report will be received. Reports from select committees.
There are none.
Introduction of bills. Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that Senate Bill 543 through Senate Bill 552 be considered introduced, read by their titles, and referred to the appropriate committees as shown on our chamber automation system.
Senior Senator from the 17th requests unanimous consent that Senate Bills 543 through Senate Bills 552 be considered introduced, read by their titles, and referred to the appropriate committees as shown on the chamber automation system. Is there objection? Chair hears none. So ordered. Resolutions.
Senate Joint Resolution 10 by Senator Chapman, returning roads to counties amendment of 2023.
Resolution will be referred to the Committee on the Judiciary, then the Committee on Finance.
Senate Resolution 23 by Senator Grady, designating February 3rd, 2023 as West Virginia Homeschool Day at the Legislature.
Under the rules of the Senate, the resolution will lie over 1 day. Motions. Petitions.
There are none.
Unfinished business.
There is none.
Bills on third reading.
Engrossed committee substitute for Senate Bill 356, authorizing DOT to promulgate legislative rules. Third reading of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. Senator from Oregon.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee substitute for Senate Bill 356 is a rules bundle. It contains 6 rules that come from the Department of Transportation. This bundle is designated as bundle number 8. The 6 rules come from, first, the Division of Motor Vehicles. It's a rule relating to administrative due process. There's a rule from the Division of Motor Vehicles relating to the examination and issuance of driver's licenses. A rule from the Division of Motor Vehicles relating to the denial, suspension, revocation, disqualification, restriction, renewal, cancellation, administrative appeals, and reinstatement of driving privileges. There's a rule from the Division of Highways regarding the disposal, lease, and management of real property and appurtenant structures and relocation assistance. A rule from the Division of Highways relating to the construction and reconstruction of state roads. That was removed, wasn't it? Okay. And there's a rule from the Department of Transportation relating to the State Rail Authority organization and meetings. That rule is repealed because the State Rail Authority no longer exists. The one I previously read, I'm sorry, Mr. President, the abstract's incorrect. That rule, the one relating to the Division of Highways, reconstruction and reconstruction of state roads, was removed from the rules bundle. So it is not part, and it was a repealer, but it's no longer part of the committee substitute. Mr. President, I'll be happy to answer questions. Otherwise, I urge passage of the bill.
Question is on passage of the bill. Is there discussion? If not, the question for the Senate is, shall the bill pass? All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk shall prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk close the machine and ascertain the results on this question. 32 yeas, 0 nays, 2 absent, not voting. More than the majority of those present voting having voted in the affirmative. I declare the bill passed. The clerk has a title amendment.
Senator Trump moved to amend the title of the bill.
Question is on adoption of the title amendment. All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. I declare the title amendment adopted. Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill be made effective from passage and request unanimous consent that the roll call used on passage of the bill be used to make it so effective.
Senior Senator from the 17th moves the bill be made effective from passage and request unanimous consent that the roll call used on the passage of the bill be used to make it so effective. Is there an objection? Chair hears none. On this question, 32 yeas, 0 nays, 2 absent, not voting. More than 2/3 of those elected to the Senate having voted in the affirmative, I declare the bill effective from passage. The clerk will communicate the actions of the Senate to the House. Bills on second reading.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 205 relating to registration plates. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
The bill will be engrossed in advance to third reading.
Senate Bill 224 establishing revocation of authority for spending by agency in support of challenge to West Virginia law.
Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the bill be referred to the Committee on Rules.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. So ordered.
Senate Bill 275, adding state fire marshals to statute included with law enforcement and first responders that receive information on school safety requirements. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
The bill will be engrossed and advanced to third reading.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 294, clarifying amount of deputy sheriff annual salary increase. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
The bill will be engrossed and advanced to third reading.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 345, authorizing Department of Revenue to promulgate legislative rules. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
The bill will be engrossed and advanced to third reading.
Senate Bill 457, removing certain activities Alcohol Beverage Control Commission licensee is prohibited to permit on private club premises. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
The bill will be engrossed and advanced to third reading.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 461, relating to West Virginia Public Employees Grievance Procedure. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
The bill will be engrossed and advanced to third reading.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 472, creating criminal offense of indecent exposure in front of minors. Second reading of the bill.
Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that the bill be advanced to third read with right to amend.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. So ordered.
Engrossed House Bill 2564, repeal of administrative hearing procedures for DUI offenses. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
The bill will be advanced to third reading.
Engrossed House Bill 2776, updating meaning of federal adjusted gross income and certain other terms used in the West Virginia Personal Income Tax Act. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
The bill will be the bill will be advanced to third reading.
Engrossed House Bill 2777, updating federal taxable income and other terms in the West Virginia Corporation Net Income Tax Act. Second reading of the bill.
Are there amendments to the bill?
No, sir.
The bill will be advanced to third reading. Bills on first reading. Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request unanimous consent that all bills on first reading be considered read a first time and advanced to second reading.
Is there objection? Chair hears none. So ordered. Introduction of guest. Senator from Cabell.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. How did you read my mind like that? That was amazing. One of your many attributes. Unanimous consent, do we need that to return to the second order of business? Thank you. So, Mr. President, we have with us, and I'm glad to welcome them on behalf of my senior senator from the 5th and the senior senator from the 6th. A group of 23 athletes, exceptional athletes that have come to us from the town of Wayne County, West Virginia, and thereabouts. They have won for the first time ever, the Wayne B team, their first Turf Bowl championship, which is a big deal because the Turf Bowl includes Ohio, Kentucky, and West Virginia, and it's very tough competition. The coaches are Harry Sowers, who's the head coach. Stand up, Harry. Trevor Markham, Brady Napper. If you go far enough into Wayne County, it becomes Napper. I'm sorry. Matt Turner, Judd Queen, and if the players will stand in the Senate, please make them all feel welcome.
Are there further introductions? Senator from Mason.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the President's Gallery, I would like to welcome a constituent from District 4 on behalf of my senior senator from the 4th District. Shelby Hill from Cabell County is here. She's a heart survivor, so she's here for American Heart Association Day. If Shelby, if you'd please stand, and the Senate would please give her a warm welcome.
Further introductions. Remarks by members. Miscellaneous business. Senior Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Subject to announcements, I move the Senate stand adjourned until tomorrow at 11 a.m., and I have one announcement.
Are there, would you say 9?
9 a.m.
Second reference of the bill to the Committee on Finance be dispensed with.
Gentleman from the 96th asks unanimous consent that the second reference to the Committee on Finance for Senate Bill 4 be dispensed with. Are there objections to that request? Okay, no objections are heard. That second reference to Committee on Finance will be dispensed with. Next committee report.
Your Committee on the Judiciary has had under consideration House Bill 2611 to remove certain territorial limitations on a banking institution's ability to offer messenger services or mobile banking facilities, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass.
That report will be received.
Your Committee on the Judiciary has had under consideration House Bill 2896 relating to making West Virginia an agreement state with the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and reports the same back with the recommendation that it do pass, but that it first be referred to the Committee on Finance.
The report will be received, and that bill will be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Your Committee on the Judiciary has had under consideration House Bill 2821 relating to taxation of gambling and lottery winnings, and reports the same back with amendment with the recommendation that it do pass as amended, but that it first be referred to the Committee on Finance.
The report will be received, and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Finance. Are there other standing committee reports, select committee reports, executive messages?
A communication from the Clerk of the Senate to the Governor advises that Senate Bill 143 relating to Adopt a Stream program and Senate Bill 231 transferring administration of West Virginia Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Technology Transfer Matching Funds program to Department of Economic Development were presented to the Governor on February 1st, 2023.
That message will be received. Are there further executive messages? If not, Senate messages.
The Clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed the following bills without amendment. Committee substitute for House Bill 2018, permitting the managed care case coordinator to attend the multidisciplinary team meeting.
Message will be received.
House Bill 2029, repealing the creation of an all-payer claims database.
The message will be received.
House Bill 2506, creating a title clearinghouse for non-resident businesses.
The message will be received.
The Clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has concurred in the House title amendment and passed Senate Bill 132, clarifying criminal offense of harassment.
That message will be received.
The Clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed the following bills. Senate Bill 240, requiring State Board of Examination of Registration proceedings to be open to public inspection.
That message will be received, and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Government Organization.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 426, banning use of certain products and platforms deemed unsafe or high risk on government systems.
The message will be received, and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Judiciary. Are there further Senate messages? If not, resolutions.
House Resolution 11, reaffirming the long-standing sisterhood partnership between West Virginia and Taiwan.
That resolution will be referred to the Committee on Rules. Petitions, bills introduced.
House Bill 3198, relating to obtaining title to abandoned or junked motor vehicles abandoned on the property or place of business of an automobile dealer.
Gentleman from the 96th.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the further reading of the bills be approved and sent to the appropriate committees, and that it be approved on the chamber automation system.
Gentleman from the 96th, ask unanimous consent for the reading of bills introduced be dispensed with, and that each bill be considered formally introduced and referred to the appropriate committees as indicated on the chamber automation system. Are there objections? No objections are heard. Motions, unfinished business. Bills on third reading. Bills on second reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2004, prevent the use of payment card processing systems for surveillance of Second Amendment activity and discriminatory conduct.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2007, prohibiting certain medical practices.
Are there amendments?
Delegate Fluharty moves to amend the bill on page 2, section 20, line 27, following the words "of age" by striking out the period and inserting the words "without written consent of a parent or guardian," and on page 4, section 17, line 27, following the words "of age" by striking out the period and inserting the words "without written consent of a parent or guardian."
Question is on the adoption of the amendment just read by the clerk. Chair will recognize the sponsor, gentleman from the 5th, Delegate Fluharty, to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The amendment is rather self-explanatory in that I am trying to put parental rights in this bill, and I've heard a lot about parental rights and with the aspect of parents in regard to their children's health care in this body year after year, yet I searched high and low in this legislation and couldn't find it. So right now, under the bill currently, the decisions are made between the doctor, the patient, and the politicians, not the parents. The parents should have a say. The parents have a right, under the due process clause of this country, a right to seek and follow medical advice to the safeguard of their children. I'm putting that right back in this legislation. Make it a constitutional piece of legislation, not an unconstitutional one like we have now. Let the parents have a say. This bill does not do that. Pretty simple. I reserve the right to close, and I ask for the yeas and nays. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The question again is on the amendment read by the clerk. Gentleman from the 55th District Capito is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In reading the amendment, number one, it states that without the written consent of a parent. So it, in the case that there are two parents that have an interest in what happens, it wouldn't entertain the consent of both parents if that were the case, number one. Number two, generally speaking, I'm not sure when a physician can do anything to a minor without the consent of the parents or guardian. So inserting this amendment essentially would render the bill pointless because it would be just the same as any other the performance of any other care by a physician in the code, because all of those, for the most part, do require parental consent. So I urge rejection.
Question again is on the amendment as read by the clerk. Is there debate on the amendment? If not, chair recognize the sponsor. Gentleman from the 5th, Doug Fluharty, to close debate on the amendment.
I mean, I'm not sure we've had legislation come through here involving parental rights, and 10 to 20 of you got up and speak in favor of parental rights, but rather quiet today in this body. I mean, parents of trans kids, they just not count? Is that how this works in this legislature? Medical advice by doctors for children related to trans kids doesn't count in this legislature? That's what I'm seeing. Just 2 days ago, we amended in parental rights decision-making process for transferring schools. It was important then. It's not important today, apparently. So if you support parental decision-making, if you support parental rights, and if you support smaller government, quite frankly, if you support decision-making process to be between the doctor, the patient, and the parents, you'll support my amendment. If you support big government being in the exam room, then go ahead and vote against the amendment. I ask for yeas and nays. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, debate has been closed. The question is, shall the amendment be adopted? Is the demand for a roll call vote on the amendment sustained? Demand is sustained. The question again is, shall the amendment be adopted? Those in favor of adoption will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Gentleman from the 64th, your vote's not registered. Clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On this question, there are 11 ayes, 87 nays, 2 members absent, less than a majority in the affirmative. The chair declares that amendment lost. The clerk will please report the next amendment.
Delegate Young moves to amend the bill on page 2, section 20, line 26, following the words altering medication by inserting the following: or any non-medically necessary elective surgery done for cosmetic purposes not associated with correcting a birth defect, physical injury, or deformity. And on page 4, section 17, line 26, following the words altering medication by inserting the words or any non-medically necessary elective surgery done for cosmetic purposes not associated with correcting a birth defect, physical injury, or deformity.
Okay, the question now is on the amendment just read by the clerk. Chair will recognize the sponsor, Lady from 56, Delegate Young, to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the Chair of Judiciary yield for a question that will help me set the stage on this one? It's not a gotcha.
an interesting beginning to an explanation, but sure.
It is. Thank you, though.
To be clear, this will count as lady's explanation of the bill.
It does.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could you let me know what surgeries minors can receive now, just in the law?
The list of any surgery that a minor could receive in the law?
I guess, are there any?
We'd be here a while.
That's okay. You don't have to list all of them, but are there any that are prohibited? Is this the first instance of prohibiting a procedure specifically for a minor? I guess, can minors get a nose job? Can they get a rhinoplasty as long as their parents consent to it, whether it's medical or cosmetic?
I mean, I think the simple answer probably is yes, but I think that there are, parental consent. There are all sorts of guidelines that go around it when you're talking about minors.
Okay, that's all I needed. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for allowing me to do that. It seems to me right now that any surgery that's elective, a medical procedure, we're talking nose jobs, we're talking boob jobs, we're talking all the jobs, they can get them as long as parents are okay with them and the doctor's okay with doing it. It's medically necessary or it's cosmetic. Either one is completely legal. Right on. I like that. Freedom. But this bill, it seems, would limit that. And I've heard that this bill is about protecting children. I want to protect children, but I want to make sure that we're protecting all children. So what my amendment does is says that we're not going to do any surgeries on any children unless they are necessary for medical reasons. So any cosmetic elective surgery, we wouldn't be able to do anymore. I want to protect students, protect children from getting those cosmetic boob jobs, because it's just not medically necessary. So I hope you'll support my amendment. And I reserve the right to close.
Question is on the amendment read by the clerk. Is there debate on the amendment? Gentleman from the 55th, Delegate Capito, is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Would the lady from the 56th yield for a question?
I will.
Looking at the amendment here for cosmetic purposes, can you provide a definition for cosmetic purposes?
Aesthetic purposes, things that aren't necessarily medically necessary.
Is that defined in the bill?
I'm not sure that it is, but I would say there's common meaning.
Is it defined anywhere in the code?
Probably. I don't know.
Okay. Is deformity, to the lady, what is deformity as used in your amendment?
I would say a cosmetic procedure that if somebody thinks that they have a deformity, then they could get it fixed. It's just not medically necessary. Maybe if somebody doesn't like their nose. Doesn't hurt them. They don't like it.
Now I'm a little bit confused because I think it says that you're accepting that in the instances of these three instances, elective surgery could be done, correct?
No, it could not be done. It not associated with correcting it. So if it was associated with correcting a birth defect or a physical injury or a deformity, I guess that would be between the patient and the doctor and not us, because we have no business making these decisions.
So non-medically necessary elective surgery can be done if it is associated with a birth defect, physical injury, or deformity.
I'm sorry, yes, I think so.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Speaker, I urge rejection of the lady's amendment. I think it leaves a lot of ambiguity. We don't know what cosmetic purposes is. We perhaps could look in Webster's, but in the medical community, they have volumes of definitions, and they're there for a reason. This, not to my knowledge, I don't know about the volumes, but to my knowledge, in the West Virginia Code, it's not defined, nor are other terms contained within the amendment. So I would urge rejection.
The question is still on the amendment read by the clerk. Is there debate on the amendment read by the clerk? The gentleman from the 54th, Delegate Pushkin, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was listening to the remarks from my friend, Chair of Judiciary. I think we're overcomplicating the issue. It's a rather simple amendment. It's, do we want to protect children from making a decision that could alter the rest of their lives. Why single out one type of surgery? Is it any type of aesthetic elective surgery would be banned? This is not singling out just one type of surgery, saying that we don't want minors getting plastic surgery that they don't need. So I think if you support the bill, it would make sense to support this amendment.
The gentleman from the 42nd, Doug Steele, is recognized.
I would urge rejection. Organization that a lot of us in here are members of raises money for kids with cleft palates because that's considered a cosmetic surgery and it's not medically necessary. Another thing could be a friend of mine when he was a kid, his ears had to be, I don't know the proper term for it, but they were kind of shaped. And I remember when we were growing up, we were about 5 or 6 years old, he went an entire summer with a band wrapped around his head while he was getting his ears reshaped. And come to find out years later that they were deformed. It wasn't medically necessary, and his parents had to pay a lot of money to get that done. So, I mean, thinking of kids with cleft palates and things like this, I don't think that this is as well thought through as the delegate thought, because I think there's a lot of care out there that is cosmetic in nature, that is not medically necessary, but I think a lot of us in here would agree. I want a kid that's got the potential to solve a cleft palate problem to be able to solve it, and that stuff still happens here in West Virginia as well. So I'd urge rejection.
The gentleman from the 76th, Doug Garcia, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The gentleman from the 42nd, all the things that he described here a second ago are exempt from the amendment. If it's a birth defect, a physical injury, or a deformity, that's allowed. So the example that he gave, that would be allowed if this amendment passed. So, but what we're talking about are situations where somebody doesn't like their physical appearance, not because of a birth defect, maybe they just want to change something about themselves. And that is something that for someone under the age of 18, if that's an issue we're worried about, where you can't go back from that, if you have a nose job, it's very difficult to undo that, versus when we've talked about in committee, hormonal therapies that have also been rejected by this bill, that can actually be reversed. So I think the key is know what you're voting on and be consistent with your vote. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question again is still on the amendment read by the clerk. Is there debate on the amendment read by the clerk? Okay, if there's not, shall recognize the sponsor related from the 56th to close debate on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To my friend from Raleigh, I did a quick Google, and it says cleft palate surgery is medically necessary. And I'm Googling it because I'm not a doctor, which is why I don't want to be making people's health care decisions. Only a couple of us are doctors, and those are the only ones who should be making health care decisions between patients and people. I hope you'll support my amendment, because if we're going to protect kids, we should protect all of them, not just the straight ones. If you want to say that kids should be allowed to get boob jobs, I guess you could vote no. So I guess we'll see. As for the yeas and nays.
Debate's been closed on the amendment read by the clerk. The question is, shall the amendment be adopted? Is the demand for roll call vote sustained? Demand is sustained. The question is, shall the amendment be adopted? Those in favor of adoption will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Gentleman from the 75th, Doug Mallow, your vote's not registered. The clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On this question, there are 12 ayes, 87 nays, one member absent, less than a majority in the affirmative. The chair declares that amendment lost. Are there further amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading. Clerk will please report the next bill on second reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2008, requiring local entities to enforce immigration laws.
Gentleman 96th.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to move to third reading with the general right to amend.
Are there objections to moving committee substitute for House Bill 2008 to third reading with the general right to amend? No objections are heard. The bill will be so advanced. Next bill on second reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2380 relating to school building authority.
Are there amendments?
Delegate Ellington moves to amend the bill on page 16, section 189D6, line 77, after the words budget shortfalls by deleting the underscored language beginning on line 77 through and including line 80, and on page 18, section 189D6, following line 131, by inserting a new subsection designated subsection F to read as follows and relettering the subsequent subsections. F, beginning for fiscal year 2023 and each fiscal year thereafter, the school building authority shall annually request the governor to include in the budget bill an amount equal to $24 million for appropriation to the agency's general revenue fund. These funds shall be transferred to the school construction fund and used for purposes set out within subsection E of this section.
The question is on the amendment just read by the clerk. Chair recognizes the gentleman from the 38th, Delegate Ellington, to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a technical amendment that was requested by the State Budget Office to enable the authority to request the appropriation of $24 million to its general revenue account rather than to its special revenue school construction fund. The authority is required to then transfer the money to the school construction fund. And currently they're already receiving that $24 million each year, but that's what this bill does, just goes to which account. So I would urge adoption.
The question again is on the amendment read by the clerk. Gentleman from the 52nd, Douglas Rowe, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If the gentleman would answer a question or two.
Yes, sir.
Now, the overall purpose of the bill is for us to provide.
The funding to the school building authority, as I mentioned, has currently been at $24 million. It goes to the state board currently, and then they appropriate it to the school building authority. This would take that out and directly go to the school building authority's general revenue account.
Now, is this the only sum that we would be appropriating to the school building authority?
That's currently what that would be. Of course, the governor added in a different amount this year for pending approval from the legislature.
Okay. Do you know what that amount is?
I believe it was in the 40 million range, if I'm correct, but I may be incorrect on that.
Now, do you know if any of these funds are directed to the Safe Schools initiative that the governor's started with the new
that
school
may be
administrator?
no, I think that's a different amount. I think that's a different line item.
Okay, now I remember that the Board of Education had in their proposal a $247 million item for that.
I believe
the governor did not
they would be
include it.
responsible for that, dispersing that out to the schools by priority, I believe.
Okay, but the governor didn't put that in his budget, so it would be up to us to decide what we need to do for that.
I would agree with that, yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you, sir.
The question again is on the amendment read by the clerk. Is there debate on the amendment? Does the gentleman from the 38th wish to close debate on the amendment? If not, the question is, shall the amendment be adopted? Those in favor of adoption of the amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares that amendment adopted. Are there further amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading. Clerk will report the next bill on second reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2443 relating to service employees with National Association for Pupil Transportation Certifications.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
House Bill 2768 to require all state entities and Chapter 30 boards to use .gov domains and email addresses.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2832, clarifying appropriate and inappropriate duties for school counselors while also providing the definition of a school counselor.
Gentleman 96th.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that we postpone action one day.
Does the chair hear objection? And no objections heard. Further action on committee substitute for House Bill 2832 will be postponed by one day. Next bill on second reading.
House Bill 2941 to extend the end date of the State Advisory Council on Post-Secondary Attainment Goals.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 3091, requiring counties provide fiscal information for state auditors' West Virginia checkbook website.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced. Are there further bills on second reading? If not, bills on first reading?
Committee substitute for House Bill 2196 to remove opioid treatment programs from requiring a certificate of need.
Gentleman from the 96th.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that we postpone action one day.
Are objections heard? Okay, no objections are heard. That bill will be postponed by 1 day. Next bill on first reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2538, requiring usage of child welfare information technology systems.
The bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2789, removing birthing centers from certificate of need.
The bill will be advanced.
House Bill 3141, relating to the practice of dentistry.
The bill will be advanced. Are there further bills on first reading? If not, leaves of absence. Gentleman from the 96th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For our colleague, Delegate Griffith.
Is there an objection to a leave being granted? No objections are heard. That leave of absence will be granted. Introductions. Introductions. Miscellaneous business. Gentleman 96th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move, subject to announcements, that the House adjourn until 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Are there announcements? Gentleman 97th, Douglas Hardy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have two announcements today. There will be a public hearing at 2 o'clock in the House chamber on House Bill 2883. Sign-up time will be at 1:45 here in the House chamber. And also, Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Finance will meet tomorrow, February 3rd, at 10 a.m. in the Finance Committee room. There will be two agencies presenting their budgets. These are our last two budget hearings, Agriculture and Conservation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman 51st, Douglas Fast.
Thank you, Mr. Just a heads up for members of the Judiciary Committee, tomorrow I know session starts at 9 a.m. However, we very well may meet following floor session tomorrow. Just keep that in mind and stay tuned to the announcement tomorrow.
Lady from the 49th, Douglas Tully.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Health and Human Resources will meet today at 3 p.m. in the East Wing Committee room. Please remember to bring your laptops, and Republican members will caucus in the chair's office at 2:30. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 88th, Douglas Hillenbrand.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Veterans Caucus will meet today at 16:30 in 410M, the Judiciary Committee room.
Gentleman from the 21st, Douglas Cannon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a reminder, your Committee on Technology and Infrastructure will meet at 1 p.m. today in the House Education Room. Republican members will caucus 30 minutes prior to that meeting at 12:30. The agenda has been posted.
Gentleman from the 99th, Douglas Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Economic Development and Tourism will meet today at 2 p.m. In the House Finance Committee room, and the agenda is posted.
Gentleman from the 2nd, Douglas Teslo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Energy and Manufacturing will meet today at 1 p.m. in the Judiciary Meeting Room. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 25th, Douglas Hornbuckle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Immediately following adjournment today, all Democrats will caucus in the Truman Terrace. Thank you.
Are there further announcements? If not, the question is on the motion that the House stand adjourned until 9 a.m. tomorrow. Those in favor of the motion will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The House is adjourned until 9 a.m. tomorrow.